Welcome to Conversations. I'm your host, Ariana Gilmore.
And I'm also your host, Jazmyn.
We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go as it relates to social justice.
2022 marks 10 years after his death, and Trayvon Martin has become a symbol of social justice activism and the Black Lives Matter movement.
His mother, Mrs. Sybrina Fulton, ensures that we all remember her son, Trayvon Martin. Welcome to Conversations, Mrs. Fulton.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Let's jump straight into these questions, shall we? So, how does it feel to know that Trayvon's name will forever be mentioned throughout history and that he will never be forgotten?
It feels good to know that, but it's also bittersweet, to know that he died in such a tragic way. And the reason why people know his name, that's the bitter part. But the sweet part is just to know that people have not forgotten who Trayvon Martin was, and what happened, and how the country felt. Like it reunited the country. It reinitiated a lot of things that had been going on in the country. So that part is a plus, but the other part is kind of sad for me.
Understandable. Since Trayvon's death, we've seen other Black lives tragically end. So many mothers who've lost a child to violence look to you as a beacon of hope. What message would you give to those mothers who are still dealing with the pain of losing a
child? I do a circle of mothers here in Miami every year after Mother's Day. And so I'm connected with those mothers, a lot of those mothers. And I would just tell mothers to try to remember the good things. Try to remember when your child was here on earth. Try to remember the funny things. Try to, because all you have to hold on to are the memories. And so I would suggest to them that they, just reminisce on the memories. Don't reminisce on the funeral, and because it's going to continuously be with you. It's going to continuously be in your heart, and you have to move on, because if you don't, it's almost like two lives are lost. Even though you're still here on earth, you're not living, you're just existing. And so I would just tell them to try to connect themselves with positive people, and to make sure that they're living and they're moving forward. And if counseling is needed, if a grief counselor is needed, then for them to seek out grief counseling. I did.
Righty. So, on a lighter note, you made an appearance in the Marshall movie, and I was just wondering if you could tell us about that experience, and do you see yourself building a future in acting as well?
I wouldn't say that. It was kind of a lot of work. It was a big deal for us. I think that was the first movie I had been in. I had been in a couple of videos, but that was the first movie that we were actually in. Thera Marshall, and we were in that movie with Chadwick Boseman, and he played Thera Marshall, and also Benjamin Crump, which was our attorney, and Tracy Martin, which is Trayvon's dad. So that was an experience. We got a chance to go to Buffalo, New York, where they filmed it. They were very particular because I think it was set in the 1940s. And so they had to make sure we didn't have umbrellas, and they didn't have a fancy ring on and things like that would make you believe that, we were in, I think we filmed it like in 2018. So you had to make sure that the timeline and the era that the movie was filmed in, that you wasn't before that time, because that would have looked really strange. But it was an experience, and we worked with Reginald Hutland. He was the director, and some other folks. I just don't remember their name right off the top of my head, but it was an experience. It was definitely an experience, going to hair and makeup and the clothes, and just being there was an experience. I mean, I would do it again, but I don't know if I have time to dabble in acting right now. It's kind of busy for me. But thank you.
Yes, I will say I was so delighted when I found out that you did that role, that cameo, and I watched the scene. And I want to say, you might say it was particular or a little bit hard, but you did an amazing job. You gave us that old school mother. I really liked it. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You also ran for Miami-Dade County Commissioner. Do you ever have aspirations of becoming a political voice or public official in early life, say while you were working for the Miami Housing Department?
I did not. But as I go on my journey, I've noticed a lot of things. I've been connected with a lot of people that's in politics, and I just felt like the residents of Miami-Dade County needed somebody to speak for them, somebody that was going to work hard for them, somebody that was going to support them and try to make life a little easier. That does not always happen when you get certain political people in there, because they're not for the people, they're for profit. And so it was a constant struggle because I had not been in politics before, but my heart was in the right place, and that's what's important. I came from the community that I ran in. I ran against a current mayor at the time, and so I didn't win by 333 votes. And so a lot of people are asking me if I'm running again. I have no clue if I'm going to run again. I really believe that the community needs a change, but they have to want the change to come out and vote for somebody who is not in politics, somebody who is not a part of the big machine and not a part. And so the other thing is I didn't owe anybody any favors. I didn't have to make promises and say that I was going to do certain things. I didn't have to say that. I didn't have to do that, because that's what I want to see the change in. So that's not something that I'll do. Mm-hmm. So who knows? I might not. I really don't know right now. It's crazy right now, but a lot of people have asked me, and I'm patting myself on the back because I really did a good job as far as running for office. It was a lot of work. It was very
a new world. It was a new world for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was very time consuming, but I met a lot of good people. I met a lot of, supporters that really wanted to see a change, but they gotta want it a little more for me to run again. So it was an experience.
Amazing.
All righty, so I see you mentioned voting, and over the years, we've seen a lack of interest in voting from the younger generation. And so my question to you is, what encouraging words would you give a young person who doesn't see the purpose anymore in voting for government elects or our possibilities of changing the system?
I don't really think that they just don't understand the concept. I think our young people don't understand the concept, and a lot of people with platforms, big platforms that they look up to, they really need to get into it, because what happens is our young people are like sponges, and they listen a lot to what these celebrities and these people have to say, these influencers have to say. And I think if we can get more of the influencers involved and more of them posting that I voted today, that I'm a registered voter, if we can get more of those, we got a lot of copycats, in the next generations coming up. We got a lot of people that believe in what these people are saying and believe in what these people are doing. And so I think we got to really get into the music industry, the acting industry, and just break into that so that they can marry the politics with the celebrities. And I think a lot of young people, even at the concerts, they should make sure that when they come in the gate that they are a registered voter if they're over 18. Just some like not so ways that people always do the same thing, not the same practice, because you can't do the same thing that they did for me to register to vote, that 20 years later, 30 years later, you want to have these same, methods. We have to try to, evolve and try to find a different method. And young people seem to like concerts. They seem to like videos. They love social media, you know, so we got to use those platforms that they probably didn't have when some of us were growing up.
Being a student at an HBCU, we are surrounded by persons who look like us, but when we step off campus, that safety net tends to fall, and insecurities have a way of putting us on high alert during today's challenging times. So what advice do you have for students who always feel like they have to look over their shoulders?
We kind of, you know, you want them to be on alert. You want them to pay attention. You want them to, but you don't want them to be fearful and afraid, you know? And so I would just tell people, you know, the young people, it's not bad to look over your shoulder. It's not bad to be mindful of who is around you. It's not mindful to you know, be particular about the company you keep and who's in your circle. You don't have to be leery of that, but what you need to do is just make sure that you're alert, that you're paying attention, that you staying woke, and that you know what's going on. You know, I don't want to be around people who don't really know, and you know, having one of those moments where they just blink out and you don't know if they paying attention or not. You don't know if they are, you know, functioning or not. And so I would just tell people, yeah, just be mindful of your surroundings and who you with in your circle.
Mm-hmm.
So recently I saw that you partnered with artist Glenn Kano and former Olympian Tommy Smith on a new NFT project, Pass the Baton. And I was just wondering if you could tell us how you all began the project and what this project is about.
You, Jazmyn, you've been doing your homework, girl. Yeah, that was a project that came about, I think, right around maybe around Thanksgiving time, maybe in October, November. I was approached by somebody out in LA, and they were trying to bring this together. The Tommy Smith Project, of course, you know, he was a gold medal Olympian. He stood on the platform and, you know, raised a fist. And so they just want to bring that back to let you know that he passed the baton, and this generation needs to pass the baton to the next generation. So it's supposed to do two things that I'm understanding, I'm trying to explain to you. Is the first one is to pass the baton so that we keep this momentum going as trying to make changes, make major changes, and be change agents in this country. And the other thing is to bring awareness by supporting organizations and foundations such as the Trayvon Martin Foundation that's out in the street, that's on the ground, that's doing the work. And so that's my understanding of it. They might have some other ones, but that's my understanding of it. It's just to pass the baton. And so that's something that I say all the time, though, about passing the baton, because the people that you see in place now, like your Reverend Sharptons and your Jesse Jacksons, they're not going to be around forever, you know. And so we got to make sure as they're getting older that they're passing their information and their knowledge and their wisdom on to the young people, so that the young people can take the baton and run with it. And that's how the generation keeps improving. And it's important that we do that.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. I tell my peers that all the time, that we have to keep the momentum going, because our grandparents, that whole generation, soon they're not going to be here. We're going to be the new grandparents, and it's up to us to make sure that the generations after us are just as well as informed and just as active and passionate about the cause. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mrs. Fulton.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You both did your homework. You guys knew a lot about me.
Thank you.
But I thank you. I appreciate it. I've been busy. You see, I've been busy, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yes, of course. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in to this edition of our student-produced show, Conversations. I'm your host, Jazmyn Stamps.
And I'm Ariana Gilmore. Thank you for watching.